All right, out here at the frozen lake, and there's some puddles. It's been in the 50s today, and it's probably about 50 right now. Sun going down, as you can see. Beautiful sunset tonight out here at Prairie Rose State Park. It's beautiful. And yeah, it's going to get below freezing tonight. I mean, barely though. So I think bigger puddles tomorrow, and then we start to cool off next week, and maybe we can refreeze this stuff. I'd hate to lose all this hard work on this ice on the lake. We are supposed to be below freezing again midweek and maybe lasting for a couple days. And then, we'll get back to sort of average, maybe 40 for highs, lows in the teens and 20s. So more of the day below freezing than above, which is good for ice formation. So I'm hoping the lake stays frozen. Last year, we got bitter cold in January, and then it warmed up for the rest of the winter, and the ice fishermen were thwarted. So maybe this year may be a better year for ice fishing. We'll see. Lots of time to do it. We got to worry about a white Christmas first. More on that. Let's go to the studio. Here's Mike with your forecast.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mike. Obviously, from last night. This morning it is below freezing, 28 degrees right now. White Christmas. Not going to rule it out. We'll show you on the GFS. Hazards this morning, hanging on to a freeze warning down there in Georgia, Florida. Not sure that's still real, but it's there. We do have some snow expected up there in New England, the northern part of New England. Snow possible along the northern plains. I mean, just the northern fringes of the United States is where we're seeing the cold air and the chance for winter possibilities. Otherwise, it's kind of warm today. All right, let's take a look at our 24-hour temperature change. And yeah, it's kind of warm today. We have those, much warmer than this time yesterday across pretty much the eastern half of the country and even parts of the Rockies into the northern plains. It is cooler in the northwest. So it is cooling off as a cold front moves through there. You can see that moving through Utah and Nevada, Wyoming with the snow behind it and heavy snow possible into Washington, Idaho, and Montana. And then the northern plains, that's where you have your wintry mix with maybe even some ice in the northern plains, upper Midwest. And then it's like rain on top of the snow for the Great Lakes and some showers and thunderstorms for East Texas into the southeast. And then there's your snow up there in Maine. But maybe a little bit for Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Anomalous temperatures today much above average for the plains, especially into the Midwest, but above average almost everywhere. Slightly below average East Texas into the southeast, Arkansas, Louisiana. You get the idea. But most of the country pretty warm for this time of year. Highs today, in fact, you see a lot of 60s in Texas, even some 70s. And same for Florida. Is there an 80 in there? I don't know. I can't tell. Those dark red colors are not enough contrast. Also warm in the southwest. But in the northern plains, temperatures in the 50s for this time of year. Very warm. 63 for Hastings, Nebraska. It's going to be near 60 here in western Iowa. But it's going to cool off in the next couple of days. All right, 60s in the mid-Atlantic today, too. All right, for lows tomorrow morning, above freezing here in Iowa to start the day tomorrow. Depressing. The lake's going to melt a little bit more, but we're going to refreeze it, so it's okay. And we're not going to lose all that ice, I don't think. But it is colder west, especially northwest through even into the central Rockies, even down into Arizona, New Mexico. So temperatures are cooling off on the west coast, and bubble of high pressure for the eastern half, almost 2/3 of the country. Surface tomorrow is we're going to start to cool off in the plains and Midwest with that first front. Ahead of that is where we see showers, but that's rain for the Great Lakes on top of all that snow. Showers and thunderstorms southeast and could be heavy for Louisiana, Mississippi. And then you see that kind of a silver thaw for Pennsylvania, New York, up into the New England with some freezing rain possible. But another colder front with the real cold air coming into North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, even Minnesota. That's where the snow is. And then our disturbance that's dropping down in the Central Rockies, Colorado with some snow as well for tomorrow. But otherwise, really warm across most of the country. But it is cooling off in the Rockies compared to average. Highs tomorrow. We see those temperatures cooling off in the Rockies Northwest with 40s and 30s. And then, it's along the Canadian border with the coolest air. But, I mean, we have 40s all the way into New England, 40s all the way into, Michigan and Wisconsin, and 60s all the way again into Nebraska tomorrow. Cooling off a little bit here in the 50s and 40s, but warm in Texas and the Southeast. 48-hour precipitation, heavy rain, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, into Tennessee. Could see 1.5 inches or more, depending on where you are. It lightens up a little bit as you head north into the Ohio Valley, but still up to 1 inch here in some places. And then the east is looking at up to 0.5 inch liquid equivalent, because some of that's going to fall snow, but a lot of it is rain. Along the northern tier, that's going to be snow, and same for much of the northwest. Here are your 48-hour snow totals anticipated, and we see that snow in the central Rockies, Colorado mostly, into New Mexico. We do see some snow even at the lower elevations in, say, northern Idaho and into the Panhandle, but a little bit of rain in some areas. And it's rain and snow Pacific Northwest, depending on location and elevation. Snow for North Dakota and to Minnesota. For Tuesday, cooling off even more as that cold front goes all the way through Texas. We see the snow reaching down, possibly even into parts of northern Nebraska. The cold air returns to Michigan with some lake effect snow here, but it's a mix on the eastern Great Lakes and then transitioning to rain along the coast, although still cold enough for freezing rain, Montana or Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Your heavy thunderstorms could be at Alabama, Georgia, and possibly even severe here. So keep an eye on that for Tuesday. Anomalous temperatures Tuesday, warm southeast into the mid-Atlantic all the way into the northeast. A little cooler, though, in Maine. Cooling off in the center part of the country with that cold front, particularly Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas, and slightly warmer in the west. Those high temperatures, still 40s and 30s in the west, 20s with elevation, but we see teens and 20s returning to the northern plains, upper Midwest. We're going to be slightly above freezing here in western Iowa on Tuesday, but the southeast still holding on to the warmth in the 60s mostly. All right, let's check out. Oh, look at this. This is the preview. This is the very end of the GFS run. This is, it says here, Tuesday 6Z on the 24th. So this is actually Monday night at midnight, heading into the day of Christmas Eve, and we see a storm here forming, and this is a mix for where I live in western Iowa with this low moving off. We'll just anticipate maybe some snow for Christmas Eve. Now, this is so far away on this, and it's only one model run. Don't get your hopes up too much. Again, a huge grain of salt, but you're saying there's a chance. I'm saying there's a chance. We'll keep you posted. All right, starting out today. Some rain and snow northwest, a little bit of rain southeast. Here's your snow up in New England, and then a low up there in Canada, which will be bringing some snow to Minnesota. We see our rains in the southeast. This will be lifting into the Great Lakes. We see our snow moving into Michigan. This is tonight. So as we get into, this is midnight tonight. So heavy rain in the southeast moving into the Ohio Valley and up into the Great Lakes, snow hanging in there along the Canadian border. And then we see our cold front that's moving south through the west. And we start to see our snow forming here in Colorado as we get into, this is Monday at noon Central Time. And Monday afternoon, we see some storms in the southeast, a little bit of snow up here in the upper Midwest or upper Northeast, and a little bit of snow for Colorado into New Mexico that's just kind of fallen apart as that cold front sinks into eastern New Mexico, West Texas. But it will be colder in the plains. This gets us into Tuesday morning, holding on to the warmth and the rain for the southeast as we go through Tuesday, and some pretty heavy rains in areas from the eastern Great Lakes down to the Gulf Coast, kind of lining up along a cold front here. Some heavy rain possible. This is Tuesday. This is our severe weather possibility down here, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and those storms lining up and moving eastward. As the low cranks up, it's pulling in some cold air behind it. So some snow now, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York. And as that low lifts, heavy rain along the coast, snow on the backside. This is Wednesday night. And as we go through Wednesday night, the low lifts into Canada. And now we're looking at the Pacific Northwest for our next storm. Enough cold air going across the lakes for lake effect snow to come back. This is Thursday early morning, and cold temperatures across the Midwest into the northern plains, and even sinking back into the southeast, cooling off again. And then as we go through the day Thursday, we see some snow up there in the interior Northwest. Some snow now along the northern plains Friday morning. A little bit of snow even in parts of Iowa. Friday morning, I don't know that we'll get any here, but it'll be close and it'll be cold enough to do that. And then we see some, snow returning to the Great Lakes, Pacific Northwest. This is next Saturday. We see our snow, inland rain along the coast. Another system here for the upper Midwest, rain and snow. And then as we see another front moving through, this is a week from Monday. And then we'll just zoom through the rest and see what happens when we get towards Christmas. See, it's another big warm up a week from, this is Saturday the 21st, or moving into Saturday the 21st, just really warm across the country. But we see this system here moving in from the west. This is our white Christmas chance. I'm not saying it's a big chance, but it's a chance. Keep posted. All right, back to reality. Here's Wednesday's highs. Freezing here in Iowa and northward. And 50s, Texas, 60s, southeast into the mid-Atlantic. So relatively warm most of the country, but the northern plains and the Midwest and into the Great Lakes on the cool side. Even colder on Thursday, warming up a little in Texas. Friday, you see that cold air lifting northward and moving eastward. Texas and the South Plains getting warmer. Same for the southeast as we get into Saturday. And then Sunday, we're warming back up again across most of the country. In fact, our 8 to 14 day temperatures is depressing if you like winter. December 15 through 21, the whole country above average, including Alaska and Hawaii, a little bit below average way up there in northwestern Alaska. Precipitation-wise, pretty dry. A slight chance of above average precipitation, Great Lakes, Northeast, Texas, Louisiana, and the Northwest. Will we have a white Christmas? I don't know. The GFS is saying maybe, and we have quite a ways to go. And guess what we'll do? We'll keep you posted right here on the Weather Mic. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow.